Tribulation will arrive by Armageddon. Few survive.
Bro, are you listening to our playlist?
What'd you say,
Are you
homeboy?
listening to our playlist?
We have our own playlist.
Where have you been?
You said you were going to make it, but I don't know. I didn't think you made it.
I'm pretty sure we have like 2 or 3.
2 or 3 playlists?
Yeah, bro.
On Spotify?
On Spotify. I think one. Watch, I'll pull it up right now.
Under Dennis?
Where did you get that song you're listening to right now?
You must have sent it to me, or I found it online.
You're so white.
I am.
Okay. Playlist number 1, which included the song Dennis was just listening to.
Alexa, stop.
Still disappointed
Say
in
that
you.
again.
Playlist number 1 on Spotify. Bennis the Menace, Straight Bangers. Spelled ST number 8 Bangers.
Oh, I think I do remember you sending this now.
Playlist number 2, Bennis the Menace, Warship. Spelled WARSHIP.
Ooh, I like that. So can I add to these? How do I get on? Because I can blow up that worship one.
Really?
That one's good. Yeah, dude.
Okay.
So much worship music.
Yeah, but
I won't. Let me just mess with the worship. You can do the other one.
Okay, but it can't be lame.
Bro, how about listen, we'll do this. I'll send it to you and you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's it.
Okay.
But you can't like thumbs up down everything. Don't be
thumbs up down everything, but that's literally going to be my job, is to thumbs up and down everything.
All right, how do I? So the
Bennis the Menace, Warship, one word, WARSHIP.
How come I can't hear you in my headphones?
Because you're using headphones you bought from a garage sale rather than the professional set I bought you.
No, hang on a second. This is why. Speak, my friend.
Did you hear what I said?
There you go. It's so much better.
Did you hear what I said, though?
Because I bought these from a garage sale and then what was the last part?
Rather than the professional set I bought you.
You didn't buy me a professional set of headphones?
Yeah, I did. The ones I sent you.
When did you send me headphones, my friend?
Wait, you don't have these?
I never got headphones. From you. Are they still in your hand? Is that why?
Wait, you didn't get these?
No, dude. I don't have any
That's
headphones.
because they're here.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Did you really buy me headphones?
I don't know. I thought I did. I don't know what I bought you and what I didn't anymore. It's all a blur.
I'm taking them, buddy. Are they? What kind are they?
What have you been using until now? The wireless ones?
Yeah, I was using the. But I can wire those in too, and those are good.
Got
okay.
it. Okay, you're right.
But I got these from the
garage sale.
Garage sale.
Okay, got it.
They're pretty good.
Okay, my bad. I thought I bought you something, but what's up?
Oh, now you're not going to give them to me?
No, these are Camerons.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just kidding. You just stop messing with me, dude. Okay, I know I shouldn't be eating soup. Well,
bro, who are you? Why are you even on the podcast? Is that Top Ramen?
Yeah.
Like 99-cent Top Ramen from like Albertson or something?
Oh my gosh, you guys have Albertsons over
Yeah. Are you out of your mind? Albertson is from Boise.
Oh, I had no idea.
The Albertson family's here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro. What's up?
I had no idea. The only reason why I know Albertson because of Arizona.
Yeah, we invented it.
Chicago
but seriously, is that just like $2 Top Ramen?
Yeah.
Dennis.
Is it bad for me? It's probably gonna kill me.
Bro, who are you? You freaking have an Alexa, okay? That's like recording us constantly. You eat straight like poison in front of me while Alexa's recording you eating poison.
Bro, it's because I'm single. And I don't eat this all the time. This is just one of those things where
this is what you do to troll me.
Just to piss you off. What can throw Ben off today? No, this is I think I haven't had So I do eat a lot of ramen though, but like the specialty ramen, like the good ramen. Like I'll go to the restaurant and get some really good ramen.
Okay.
One thing about Jacksonville, it has really good ramen here.
Really?
I don't understand why, but that's like the only thing I found that I'm actually like, okay, the ramen is solid here. Like you could go into Publix and order ramen from like where they make like some of their food. It's incredibly good.
You know why?
And
I actually have an answer for you. Super
why?
random. It's because after Pearl Harbor, when they rounded up the Japanese and put them in concentration camps or whatever in America, huge like stain on American history. But some of the largest were actually in Florida, and so then after they disbanded them, I'm sure a lot of like the Japanese stayed and probably opened up like ramen shops and sushi shops. Do you guys also have really good sushi shops?
I wouldn't say really good. It's all right,
dang,
but it's not. But this is Jacksonville. Miami's a little bit better.
Okay.
But I don't know about the other side.
You know why? Actually, you might not have sushi. I have an answer for you for this too. Super random. No, it's not because it's warm water. It's because I've made that up.
You made the ramen thing up. I kind of figured you did. I was like, this is very random. But Ben, you send me many random things throughout the day. So
the more you know,
especially at night, you are that friend that I think you and I do. I don't know if there's other people that send as many memes as you and I do.
Dude, Dennis.
Like I have friends that I send memes to, but nothing like compared to how many I send to you.
Depending on how many memes I send you, that's the level of friendship we have.
That's true, actually.
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I feel like that's actually what judges a friendship in 2023.
Also though, there's another level to this. It's what kind of memes you can send.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Because there's some memes that I'm like, oh, I cannot send that to that person, but I can send it to Ben.
Bro, if you're censoring,
I think I can send you any meme.
You better.
I think I think I don't think with you there's a limit.
There's nothing.
If I do come across one, I will let you know that I've come across a meme and I don't know if I can send it to you.
Whoa, I'm curious to see what kind of meme that would be.
Me too. I haven't.
Okay, I don't want to see any like butts off Instagram. I don't want to see nothing like that.
No. Not okay. Like I don't look at that stuff, man.
Good,
like I can't.
Good. Dude, Instagram's hard.
Looking at that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
but you know what you got to do? Another tidbit of wisdom here. You have to go in and say uninterested. Right. Because then the algorithm will kick all that stuff out. Yeah. So at least that's good.
A year ago when I started I just started unfollowing a bunch of stuff. And that helped a lot because I just wasn't getting those things. And then the more Jesus stuff or the alien stuff or the ancient world stuff, like you just get blasted by that.
Exactly.
Which is a cool thing that I think the algorithm does.
Yeah, exactly.
At least as far as interests, but I guess that goes for political, religious stuff, right? If I was going to go like a bunch of, Islamic stuff, then
I mean, arguably at the same time though, it kind of just keeps you in the echo chamber. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, so yeah. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing.
Yeah, totally. It just feeds you what you're into and just gets you like deeper and deeper and deeper,
But ultimately that's our fault, right? Like it's, they made the tool available, but it's like the internet, right? Internet's great, but it could also be very bad for some people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like anything though. I mean, if it wasn't the internet, you find something else. Our flesh will always want to find that thing, right?
Dude, what were we even doing before the internet?
Dude, seriously.
Okay.
Well, we were outdoors a lot more.
I mean, sure, but not really. Like, what do you mean outdoors?
Like my mom and dad would kick us out of the house, like,
make you go play
after like our homework and stuff. Yeah. Like you be outside, like don't sit inside.
You guys didn't get kidnapped or anything?
No, dude. No. I mean, you get into enough, you get chased. Chicago, like I got chased.
What do you mean you get chased? By who? Jumped.
Dude, I got pulled. I had a gun pull on me and a knife pull on me.
I thought you were getting chased by kidnappers.
Rough, no.
I'm like, oh my God, I was kidding.
We have a mutual friend though that like walked up to like an ice cream truck and like the guy like tried to steal him.
Whoa.
Do you know the story?
No.
He brought him in the truck or in the van or whatever it was.
Okay, tell me who. Like, I'll cut out the name.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Dude, you got to have
Dude,
asked
that
to
makes
tell you
perfect
the story.
sense. No wonder he's
it's
freaking
hilarious.
the way he is.
I think I said the same
Oh
thing.
my
Like,
God.
this makes so much sense.
Freaking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
He'll tell you the story. It's a great story.
wow. So how old was he?
Man, I don't know. But it was like, I think maybe 12, right around there. Maybe
Wow.
10, 11, 12. Yeah.
Damn. Where, Seattle?
Yeah, back in Seattle.
Okay.
And that's scary, man. I mean, but
Ugh.
growing up, man, I don't know. I went everywhere. I used to take my bike everywhere. I would walk to school a mile. I started in 8th grade because that's when we moved there. But I mean, my brother and I, dude, I was in 2nd grade. He was in 5th grade. We would walk in downtown Chicago. We would walk. I mean, you're talking downtown Chicago, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like 8 or 9 blocks to school in the morning and on the way home.
Damn.
We would just walk together and no one would mess with us. Like it was just these days, dude, are you kidding
you're
me?
dead.
I wouldn't, my daughter's 12 and I wouldn't leave her alone.
Dang.
Like,
yeah, you like step outside and you're going to die.
Yeah. The only reason why at her house she does, because they live in a gated community. And so they can go out, because she'll call me, when she's out sometimes. I'm just going for a walk. And I'm just like, well, who's around? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like I'm always asking her, but yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Dude, I think, honestly, we grew up. How old are you?
I'm 43, dude.
43. What am I?
I'm
37.
Are you? Oh, I'm so happy that you're getting older.
We're like 5-6 years. Yeah.
I know, but I'm so happy because like from 35 to 30 is such a big difference, right? Like
dude, for sure.
40 to 35 is not as much.
For sure.
40 to 45, not much of a difference. 45 to 50 is like the same age.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Once you hit 45, you're done.
But I mean, I think we're kind of like, we kind of grew up in the same era for the most part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I have a theory.
Not much different. I mean, some differences,
Not
like
much.
in music a little bit, some
just
in,
a tiny bit, but I was still exposed to
yeah.
like everything you'd listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like today
True.
where like 5 years makes a huge difference in like the culture,
right?
and in music and stuff. But I think, dude, I think we grew up in the best time in human history. Like I genuinely believe that. The best time in human history.
Like at the peak, like right before the downfall.
Yes. As children, like we grew up in the best time in human history.
I don't know.
Why not?
I got to think about that some more, because
just right off the bat, what are you thinking that was better ever?
Okay, I'm just going to say technology, because
what technology?
Like I had the internet, right? I had dial-up,
right?
And I think once that started, I think things started going south.
Okay.
Like fast.
Not right when the internet started, because we had an exposure to technology, a limited form of it, to where like it was just useful. It was utilitarian. You could do cool stuff. You could search, you could get information, but it wasn't constant. It wasn't a bombardment. It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't an addiction. It wasn't social media. It was, you could send a picture back and forth. It was, you could text, you could you could play some little games, you know what I'm saying? But it was not the addiction that it is today. Even video games, we had N64, we had Sega, we had access to them, and they were just cool enough and entertaining enough, but they weren't like life consuming like they are today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we had the best parts, the introductory parts of these technologies. And today they've become like way too overwhelming, life sucking.
Oh, for sure. And it's only going to get worse. It's
only
crazy.
Worse, to the point where we're going to get plugged in,
Dude, did you see that, that AI model that's making like this guy $10,000 a month?
Yeah.
How genius is that though? Like, think about it. He created this beautiful looking AI model to sell, because a beautiful model is likely to sell product, right?
Oh, dude.
So he's like, I'm just going to make my own model to sell, and he just does all the work behind it.
That's okay. Genius. Hey,
I think it's genius.
Forget it. Forget a beautiful model. Let's do like an obese one.
Or anything. Like, let's do a liberal one.
That's
like
what I'm saying. Let's do like an obese lesbian model.
Yeah.
And like sell it to these corporations.
Dude, seriously, man, they'll make bank. Dude. If that dude made bank off of Budweiser, right?
Yeah.
Like $4 million or something, like insane. Dude. And no one would even know.
They wouldn't know. I want to call her Beatrice.
Oh,
That's good, right?
I love
You
it.
instantly know
Yes.
what's up.
Oh yeah.
If any of our fans are named Beatrice, I apologize. Dude, it's like the name Karen. If you're named Karen nowadays, like that sucks. That
If I met
sucks.
a girl named Karen, I wouldn't date her.
Whoa. Would you take her a ramen though?
I would have to. What, girl? So if I hit anything on the table, like that sounds a little bit off, she thinks it's the door.
Oh, funny.
Would I give her ramen?
Would you take her out to ramen?
Bro, I'm telling you, if you ever come visit the ramen, here's anyway, like I crave it, dude. I'll eat ramen almost every day, but it's like good because you got like pork in it, you got like egg, you got corn, you got really good
I get it. I get it.
Right. I think that guy's a genius,
dude. Hey, real quick. Speaking of, before we leave the topic, speaking of getting kidnapped, one of my neighbors in Riverside, this kid that I grew up with, he ended up getting.
When did you live in Riverside?
That's where we lived when we moved from Romania. Bro, my parents. Okay, no. My parents moved to Riverside. They were there for 2 years before me and my brother came over, because my parents came in like 88 or 89.
Your parents left you guys?
Oh my God. It's the craziest story. I've never told you this.
No. All right. Welcome to Menace the Menace, everybody. We are getting in deep right away.
Oh,
we got a crazy story for you. We're going to start the show with this story because I haven't heard it yet. And I'm dying to hear how Ben got to America from Romania. Okay. Before we get started, thank you for joining us. Remember to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about it. Come join us and comment, please. It'll really help us out. And thanks for just being with us. And we'd love to have you on. Sometimes comment and tell us if you have a topic you want to talk about, and we'll get your ass on the show. Going right into it tonight. I have a few topics I do want to talk about, but we're going to go right into this story because I'm intrigued right now.
Dude, I was not planning on talking about this at all.
Okay, good.
I was actually thinking before we got on, I'm like, dude, I wonder what we're going to talk about, because I'm just a blank slate today. I'm just kind of cruising,
It's okay, because I got like 3 topics to talk about.
Okay.
But I want to talk about this first. So this is a story about how Ben and his family immigrated from Romania to America back when. What year are we talking about?
Well, my parents, I believe, came over in 88. And me and my brother came over in 90.
Okay, so everyone, did you hear that? There's a parent. And how old were you at this time?
I came when I was 4. My brother was 6, but my parents left when I was 2 and my brother was 4.
What were they doing that whole time? They were in America that whole time?
Well, I'll have to tell the story. So,
okay, let's go back from the beginning.
So I'd like to tell a story all about how my life got twisted right upside down. I'm just kidding. You know where that's from?
Of course, man.
Okay. That's right, because we grew up in the best time in human history.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, so I wasn't really...
You talk, I'm going to eat my ramen.
You do that. You definitely do that. Not distracting at all. So I wasn't planning to talk about it. I'll try to remember as much as I can. And dude, what's crazy is a lot of this, I want to say about 50% of this, I only recently found out in the past like 2 to 3 years. Maybe 4 years. And I
found out that my last name might not be my last name.
Oh, you'll have to tell us. Okay.
It's hilarious.
Okay.
Sorry,
dude.
I found out 2 years ago or a year ago.
Do you have your mom
Just
in the milkman story too?
No, it's not that
never mind then.
Sorry, back to yours.
Okay. So, like I said, some of the information I only found out like 3 to 4 years ago. Okay. And it was like very pertinent information that makes my whole story more like, wait, what? No way. Okay. So my parents, Romania was communist, right? We all know the story. And I think communism fell in 1990. Okay.
89, I think.
89 was the revolution. And I think it fell 89, 90, something like that. Yeah. You're right. It might have been 89. But my parents, they fled. And listen, I told my mom to write everything down that she could possibly remember, because she knows she knows the whole story. I know what they've told me and stuff that I remember, and hopefully I'm remembering it correctly. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they left in, I believe it was 88. My parents both had separate dreams repeatedly about the fact that they need to leave Romania and that they need to flee.
Whoa.
Okay. And that was their confirmation that they should leave. Okay. They ended up hiring I guess what you would call like a coyote, somebody that knows the trail through the hills to take like immigrants or refugees across the border. And they fled to what's that concentration camp? I think it's in Hungary or Serbia or something like that. Lager. Or no, Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia.
Back then, yeah, because Yugoslavia was still
right.
Yeah.
Where was that? Where's Yugoslavia?
Is that or Hungary? It's one of the.
It's one of those two, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So they paid a coyote to freaking take them at night across the border into Hungary or whatever, into Yugoslavia, to the refugee camp, and they went with a group of people. Okay, I don't know how many people, but it sounded like there was like 10, 20 people, whatever it was. They left me and my brother with my grandparents and my uncle, who still lived in Romania, in Cluj. And I think it was because we were too young. They had to go by night. They had to cross like hills. They had to swim they had to swim the Danube to get across the border to the refugee camp.
My dad did it.
Right? Okay. So, dude, when like two things. When I see all this like immigration stuff and the things that they're going through to get here, I feel for them. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I get it. We did the same freaking thing, or my parents did. And secondly, doesn't mean I agree with it entirely. Secondly, when I see this stuff about communism coming to America and these dumb kids asking for socialism, I just want them to not exist anymore. You know what I mean? Because they have no idea what they're asking for. They literally have no clue what they're asking to bring to this freaking country. But anyway, so my parents hire these coyotes. They go with the group by night. They trek through the mountains, blah, blah, blah. They get to the Danube. They have to swim across. Okay. So this group is swimming by night. And in the meantime, on the Romanian side, this is what people don't understand. The communists didn't want you to leave because by leaving, it's a stain on their way of life and on their system. And it's an admittance that, hey, this is failing and people don't want to be here. It's not the paradise we're claiming it is, right? Because that was their propaganda, that everybody's happy. It's the same thing in North Korea. Everybody's happy, everybody's eating, but like the only people eating are the ones on camera and everybody else is dying of
starvation. Isn't that crazy though? Like how well they do
propaganda,
that though?
Baby.
When I look at that, I'm like, oh man, it's not that bad.
and then you hear the chick that was on Rogan that escaped North Korea, talking about how like people are eating kids and stuff, man. Oh my God, get out of here. Get freaking out of here. So they're swimming the river. The communists from Romania have caught on to them and are chasing them. As they're swimming across the river, the Romanians start shooting at the Romanians who are swimming, trying to get to the border on the other side. There's a guy with his little daughter on his back, swimming next to my dad.
No.
She gets capped. The little daughter gets shot, but she's on his back. Bullets go through the daughter into the dad. My dad told us that they both go down. Doesn't see him anymore. So people are dying as they're freaking swimming across. My mom and my dad make it across to the refugee side. They get taken in. They get put into the refugee camp that was over there. And dude, even the stories in the refugee camps of like rapes and stuff that like my mom was telling me was insane.
Wow.
So
imagine what they risked. They risked so much.
Bro, it's insane. Dennis, and here's the other thing. I think my parents were in their mid 30s. I think my dad was like 33, 34, and my mom was 30. Do you realize like the psychological impact that would have had on you, like as an adult to go through that crap? You know what I'm saying? So nowadays I'm like, dude, I wouldn't have freaking survived. No wonder all of our parents, dude, growing up Romanian, I was always like, dude, Romanian parents are insane. I don't blame him because I think anybody would have lost their mind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I probably would. I would have been way worse.
Way
probably,
worse.
You know, like
way worse.
And I only realize that now as I get older, because I had a lot of bitter,
Yeah.
resentment towards my parents. You know, especially like my dad, my 20s. You know, and
Right.
even like into my 30s. And as I started getting older, I was like, man, I'm wrong. And my brother, he called me out on it because he got there faster than I did. And he called me out. He's like, "Hey, man, you're gonna think twice."
It only comes with age, man. It only comes with age. The older you get, the more you realize that, like, maybe my parents are just doing their best with what they had, and everybody goes through crap, and it develops you.
And that alone is true. But then you add on like what they went through, the trauma, right? And think about this: the trauma, even before the trauma that of escaping or trying to escape, even like imagine what you have to get to that point. How bad things have to be in your life where you're like, I need to get out of here.
Well,
like I want to get out of here. I want a better life for my future, for my
totally.
Listen, man, people buckle really fast. If it's like, these days for anything, and they won't do anything difficult, but they're like, man, I might get. I mean, think of your mom. I might get separated from because they were married, right? I'm assuming they're separated from my husband. He might die. I might die. He might die. I might get caught. I might get raped. I might get, whatever. Especially at that age too, right?
Yeah.
And then your dad thinking, who he loves, his wife is coming with him. So it's not just himself. He's thinking about his wife. And I'm like, oh man, she might get caught. She might get raped. She might get, all this stuff goes through your mind if you're thinking you're going to leave. And, oh my gosh, she might die. What am I going to do with my kids? I might survive, but then I got 2 kids. Or, he might provide her, all that stuff, dude. And then but they still make that decision to go.
Yeah. And listen, the only reason they made that decision to go was because they both independently had dreams repeatedly confirming that they need to go. So to them, it was like confirmation from God, 100%, and listen, man, my parents weren't like Joe Schmo from like the Tzada, just working the field. My mom was an engineer. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. My mom was an engineer and my dad was a veterinarian. He was like a doctor veterinarian.
No way.
And they just finished building a big old house out in freaking Cluj. And
they still decided
they were pretty well off. They weren't, I don't know how to put it, but, it was confirmed to them, supernaturally that they need to bounce. And so they took off. And they left us, which is crazy, right? So that's kind of where that's kind of the majority of the information I had for a while was that my parents freaking bounced, and then they made it to America because they were able to apply for like a refugee status because my mom had a sister in
like asylum.
My mom had a sister in Corona, and so they were able to apply for them to come as refugees, right? And be housed with my aunt there in Corona. They both started working right away. My mom was able to, at one point, like retest and get her engineering license again. Okay. It transferred over.
Wow. No way.
Yeah. But my dad, who was a veterinarian doctor, okay, none of his schooling transferred. So he ended up having to freaking go, and he would work as like a vet tech at a veterinarian hospital. And he would work all night from like 8 to like 4 a.m. or something like that. And then at like 9 or 10 a.m., I don't know what the hours were, but during the day, he'd go to school. And he went to school and became a nurse.
Wow.
Okay. So he had to he started all over again. And so that's kind of what I knew. And then 2 years in, they applied for a home loan at 10%. They bought a home in Riverside for $100,000. That's all I knew. Okay. Until, bro, get this. Until I was probably like 16. Okay. 16, 17. And there was this one chick that would come to church once in a while. Okay. And she didn't go to our church. I think she might have been like Seventh-day Adventist or something like that. But once in a while she'd show up, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And she was pretty cute. So I did my thing, started spitting, ended up going on like a date. Then went back. Dude, this is the craziest freaking story. Went back to her house just to hang out. And and we were watching a movie together in her room. Okay, door open, nothing crazy happening. And her freaking brother comes home one time that night. Her brother comes home and like passes by the door, sees that it's open, sees that we're chilling. So he's like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Ben." And he's like, "Oh, hey, my name's so-and-so, you know?" And he's like, "Ben what?" And I'm like, "Oh, Ben, and my last name, you know." Let's go with Smith. So he's like, Ben Smith. It's like, Smith. My dad, this is in the doorway while I'm like hanging out with his sister watching a movie. He's like, my dad still has scars all over his body from when he went to go get you in Romania and bring you to your parents. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, Ben Smith. Yeah, my dad has scars all over his body from when he went to go get you in Romania and bring you to your parents. And I'm like, I don't think so, man. Like, I think you got the wrong guy or something. Right. I have no idea what you're talking about. Smith. He's like, all right. Just kind of bounces, moseys on. And I'm like, I'm sitting there. I'm kind of uneasy at this point. I'm like, what the heck is this guy freaking talking about? This chick puts the movie back on. I'm like, I don't know. I feel weird. Go to the bathroom, come back out. I'm like, hey, I got to peace out. I'm going to go home. So I take off. I go home and I'm just like thinking about it on the drive home. I get home. It's probably like 10, 11 at night, I go up to like my parents' door. I like knock on their bedroom door. They're already in bed. And I'm like, hey, do you guys know Familia so-and-so? I was just at their house and their son was saying that like their dad has scars on his body from like going to get us in Romania or something. And my parents like both get up and like sit up out of bed and they're just kind of like, yeah. So when we were in Yugoslavia, we found two guys in the refugee camp that we paid half in the refugee camp and half when they would come back. We paid them to sneak back into Romania and to get you and your brother and to freaking bring you back from Romania. They were going to sneak into Romania and bring us across the border to my parents in the refugee camp. Okay. That was the plan. But these two guys, they sneak back into freaking Romania. And on the Romanian side, the communists hear them rustling in the bushes, whatever it is, two dudes, right? These guys unleash the freaking dogs. Okay. No. One of them gets killed. The other one gets mauled and just torn up. Okay. Then they get arrested and thrown back in prison on the communist side, thrown in prison on the communist side, on the Romanian side. That was the dad of the chick that I freaking took on a date and was like hanging out with at home, and who I've like seen her, know her brother, like that was their dad. And this guy's like, my dad's got scars all over his body from when he went to go get you.
Dude, this is the craziest story, dude.
I couldn't believe it, okay? I never called that chick back in my life.
I mean, I don't know what I would do.
I couldn't, listen, I couldn't handle it. I was like 16. I was 17, whatever the hell I was. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't handle that drama, that pressure. Yeah, I was like, I was in shock. Dang. So that was some information I found out like later in life. Okay. And the next time I ran into that chick at church, she was like, "You're an asshole."
Like, you owe me everything.
No, just hey, I never responded to a single one of her texts. I never called her back. I never said, hey, this isn't going to work out. I ghosted the shit out of her, but I couldn't handle it. Like, it was too much, bro. I was only 16,
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a gnarly story, man.
How crazy is that, bro? How freaking crazy is that?
I did not expect to hear that. That's a really good story.
Okay. Though. So then, unbeknownst to me, this is why I was going to say, about 4 years ago, I think we were 4 or 5 years ago, man. I can't really remember. I'm bad with dates.
Me too.
We're all hanging out we're having like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. I don't know, some kind of family reunion where a bunch of us are back together. And whenever we would get together, my uncles would always ask my grandpa, who's now died. He probably died 3 years ago or so. Like, hey, tell us some stories of how it was during communism. Okay.
Right.
And he would just be like, oh, that's it. It wasn't anything. It was, it was something, and then it wasn't, and then blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, but tell us some of the stories, like for the kids to hear. And then I don't know who asked, but they asked like, oh, how did tell us the story of how you were gonna bring Ben and Dan to meet with somebody to take them to their parents. Okay. Dude, I'm in my 30s at this point. So I'm figuring out, I'm getting information about our story in like 15-year increments. Okay. And my grandpa's like, oh yeah. So we got a call. I don't know how my parents got a message to my grandparents who we were living with. Okay. Because they had fled to the refugee camp. We got a call and it said just really short, like meet on the hilltop on this day at this time. And we were supposed to give the kids to somebody to take to the parents. And I'm in my 30s, right? So I'm like, wait, what do you mean you were going to give us to somebody? Like, did you know them? And he's like, no, but we were going to give you. That's what the phone call said, And I'm like, what do you, just to whoever showed up, you're just going to give us to that? These are simple people, bro. You know what I mean? They're not like thinking it through. And he's like, yeah, that was the plan. We brought 2 sacks, potato sacks, and we were going to give you. And I'm like, what do you, and nobody's like questioning anything. It's just me. Right. And I'm like, what's,
they all think you're crazy.
Yeah. They're like, that was the plan. Of course. I'm like, what do you mean you brought sacks? And he's like, well, we were going to put you in the sacks and they were going to take you across the river. And I'm like, what do you mean you were going to put us in the sacks? He's like, yeah, in the potato sacks. And we were going to give you the medicine so they could get you across. And I'm like, what medicine, bro? Like, what the hell was the plan? What was the plan here? Bro, they were going to drug me and my brother.
So you don't cry.
So we were knocked out. They were going to put us in potato sacks on their backs. Okay. And they were going to take us to our parents. Okay. In the freaking refugee camp. And my grandpa's like, but we stayed for like an hour or 2. I don't remember. And nobody came. And I'm like, that's because they got eaten by dogs.
Right.
Like, this wasn't a great plan, Gramps. Like, it just wasn't the best plan I've ever heard,
Wow.
Dude.
Wow,
how
Ben,
insane is that, man?
The story just got so much better.
And so, hey,
we could have ended on that, and then that got so much
nobody
better.
showed up. Nobody showed up. Okay, so they're like, well, I guess the plan's off. So they get back in the car, drive home. Life goes on. Okay. My parents, like I said, go to Corona, then to Riverside. They're working, blah, blah, blah. What
if those guys would have had bad intentions and they were going to sell you guys as little boys?
Who knows? Who freaking knows? That's what I'm saying. At that point,
God protected you guys
100%, dude, 100%. We have no idea what could have freaking happened. You know what I mean? We have no idea. And bro, it's war. It's war. If you disappear, nobody's going to question a single thing.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, and I haven't asked my parents this, but listen, those guys never made it back to the freaking refugee camp, I don't think. So I wonder what my parents were thinking. Like, did they make it to get my kids?
Oh, yeah.
Did they die on the way back? Like, I should ask my parents what they were thinking, what was going through their head. This would be a great full episode to interview my parents about. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Just let them say the story.
So listen, I hope I'm remembering everything correctly. My parents will watch this. I'm sure they'll let me know. Okay. But okay, my parents are in the States. 2 years we're separated. Okay. Where I'm living, me and my brother are living with my grandparents. My parents are in America, doing their thing.
Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember any of the Romania stuff. I really don't. I barely remember anything when I was a kid. I don't have a good memory. I really don't.
Yeah, me too.
I just remember little snippets of things, that were kind of impactful.
Sure.
And my mom, when we came to America, finally, okay, so get this. I think 89, the revolution happened. Okay. 89, 90, the revolution happened and Ceausescu was
Yeah.
overthrown. They executed him and his wife in the freaking streets, hung him up by a
Yeah.
light post, and were like spitting and shooting at their bodies.
I remember those images.
Yeah, I've seen the images as an adult. I don't remember them as a kid, you know.
Yeah, I remember when I was,
But me,
'cause I was
dude,
9,
me and my
10.
brother, we lived in Cluj. That's where the revolution popped off. Okay, me and my brother
yeah.
have pictures on the tanks holding AK-47s as
Shut up, dude.
little toddlers, you know, or whatever we were.
That should be the cover, the thumbnail cover.
For that's a great idea. I gotta get that picture.
That would be
that's
awesome.
A great idea.
That'd be so sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to get it.
Cool.
And so 2 years we live apart. There's the revolution that happens. Now, after communism fell, my parents applied really quick to allow for us to come over to America, to be reunited. And they also granted my grandparents and my uncle visas to come too. Right.
Nice.
But in the meantime, during the revolution, bro, my mom said that she was so stressed out. My mom actually had to have brain surgery because she had like an aneurysm in her brain. She had like a blood vessel or something that popped in her brain, because she said she would sit in front of the TV, like sit at the TV. And while the news is showing video from the revolution, my mom would watch the TV to see if she could see us like dead in the streets. And she said she was so stressed out that she had a freaking like brain hemorrhage. That's what it was, a brain hemorrhage. And she had to have like emergency brain surgery. When we came to America, my mom was like sleeping in the living room on the sofa, flat, not to be moved, with her head like all bandaged up because she just freaking had brain surgery. How crazy is that?
Oh my goodness.
And
man, these are some really crazy stories.
Gnarly, man. Absolutely gnarly stories, man. That's why I want my parents to like write it all down, like from both of their perspectives, everything they remember. I'm bummed that like my grandpa died a few years ago. I'm bummed we didn't get like his side of the story, because these are all, listen, it's the same story, but from different people's like perspectives, and each one is going to bring different elements, right?
Yeah, it's like the Gospels,
dude, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful like that. And now my grandma, I would ask her too, but she's kind of going downhill a little bit since he died. You know what I mean? So that's the story. Then we got reunited. We were actually in the newspaper. We have a newspaper. We were on like, I don't know if it was the cover or what, but there's actually like a big half-page photo of like my parents holding us, you know, and it says like reunited at last or something. And then it's like a little write-up. My parents laminated it. I think we have it somewhere in storage.
That's so cool. That's awesome,
dude.
And that was here, like in a paper, like in Riverside, or like
yeah, somewhere in Cali.
How'd you did you go somewhere else before California?
Us personally, or my parents?
Well, or your parents. Sorry,
I think they initially landed in Chicago, but then came to Cali because they had family here. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Most people came from Chicago or New York, but
yeah, man.
Chicago,
yeah. So
mainly.
I was 4. My brother was 6. I think I went to kindergarten at 5. I think I barely spoke English when I went to freaking kindergarten. My first, you know, they had snack. Remember, you would have a snack time.
Yeah.
The first snack I ever took, my first day of school, was a stick of gum.
No way.
Yeah. So not only am I like the fob kid, but like at this point we're like broke. You know what I mean? We don't have jack crap.
Oh man, I'm just picturing.
And my dumb ass, I'm like a little fob kid. Like, hey, and you know the Romanian kids, we'd be like wearing our Sunday best to school.
Oh yeah, dude.
So I'm that little fob kid in like his Sunday best with a stick of gum. Like for snack, I ate my saliva. Like I had flavored saliva for a snack. Okay. And of course, hey, you can't have gum at school. So I get sent to the principal's office my first day of kindergarten because I was chewing gum. Oh my God, dude, it was crazy, man. That was that's the story.
Man, that was so entertaining. I'm so glad you shared that. That was so cool. I can't believe I've never heard this story.
I'm surprised you didn't hear it either.
I know. I guess we never talk about those things. Like my parents, they have crazy stories. I won't get into it. My dad, he got caught crossing, and he got caught twice.
By who? The Romanians or who?
The Romanians. He went to jail 2.5 years the first time, and then 2.5 years a second time.
Wow.
And he has the scars to prove it. And my dad, he was in
Wow.
solitary confinement. He was kind of rough. And I mean, talk about like physical trauma too, to add in that, and they'll mess you up. They'll treat you bad. I mean, if you look, he literally has these thick scars
Oh
on
my
both of his shoulders.
God.
Yeah, I mean, like thick, dude. They're like gnarly.
Oh,
He's and he was always just a really rough, tough guy, and
that'll do it.
yeah, people would tell me stories. So it's not like him telling me stories; it was other people telling me stories.
Oh my
They're like,
God.
"Oh, your dad had a nickname and everything," and yeah, there was a guy that like left him at the border or something. And that's like why he got caught.
Wow.
And the guy made it to the other side. And then when my dad comes to America, finally, like he was like he came to Chicago because I was born in Chicago.
Yeah.
So he came to Chicago, and he found out the guy was like living in Chicago. And he's like, you need to move.
Wow.
And the guy like took off to Seattle or something.
Dude, let's go find him. Let's go kick his ass.
Man, dude, that's but
crazy, man.
My ex-wife, her dad has a crazier stories than even you and me together.
Dude,
like
we should try to talk to these people. Hey, because they're gonna listen, these people are all gonna die off soon, man. They're gonna die off and their stories are gonna be gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, your daughter isn't.
That's why I respect the Jews so much in that sense.
Sure.
Because they know how to pass down stories, man. Like, we suck.
Your daughter's probably never gonna know her grandpa's side of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
And my grandkids aren't gonna know my grandpa's side of things, their great grandparents' side of things.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents have died, and then my dad's 80, my mom's 76.
Oh, bro, you should do it. Hey, you should just put your like phone on record next time you're in AZ and just ask your parents.
It's a good idea,
like, just
man.
talk to me.
That's
Tell
a
me
really
everything.
good idea.
I want to hear it. I'm going to record it. I want my freaking daughter to have this story.
I'm putting that on my phone.
Dude, I want to hear it, man. And you're going to be able to like ask questions, just like me when I was like, what do you mean you were going to bring potato sacks? You know what I mean?
My dad's story. Romo story.
Dude, that's I started with like the end of the tale, but listen, my grandpa has a freaking story too, man, from World War II, during freaking World War II.
No way.
Yeah.
You know it?
I do know it because 3 years ago, my parents were here visiting us. I'm telling you, everything happens in like 15-year increments, where more and more of the story gets compiled. Dude, my freaking parents were here visiting like 3 years ago, and we were talking about stuff like this. I think we were laughing about what my grandpa on my mom's side told us about potato sacks and medicating us to pass out, And my dad starts telling us about his dad and that he's on YouTube. And my dad's dad died maybe 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that now. I'm like, what do you mean he's on freaking YouTube, And he's like, yeah, this local news station in Romania, in Rădăuți, over by Moldova, all right, over by the Russian side, there's a massacre that happened where the Russians massacred like 30,000 Romanians. It's known. It's like an event. It's called the blah, blah, blah of the forest or something like that in Romania. I don't know the name. The blah, blah, blah massacre in the forests of blah, blah, blah. Like in the Romanian history, this is a thing, right? It's like Pearl Harbor. The way Americans are like, Pearl Harbor, we learn about that. The Romanians learn about this thing in their history.
Got it.
Because during World War II, I don't know what part, but the Russians annexed a part of Romania. It might have been Moldova, for all that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They annexed a part of Romania, but the people living there were still Romanian. Okay. And my grandpa and his wife, and I think 2 kids, 2 daughters, were in this territory, this captured territory of Russia. Okay. And listen, the only reason I know this is because my dad pulled up my grandpa on YouTube, and like, there he is getting interviewed, just like this old man from Romania,
Awesome.
And he's like, oh man, it was amazing to watch.
Do you still have it?
It's on YouTube.
You can get it. You can share it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, bro, I'll link it. I'll put it in the link to this,
Do it.
And but it's in Romanian, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Maybe we could get it translated like the other video.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I'll link it. And Okay, so I had no idea about any of this, and my dad didn't tell us any of this. Okay, I knew.
Like, why? Why would they tell you? This is a big
Dude,
deal.
exactly. Like old people, like grandparents from our countrymen, they don't understand the fact that we want to know these things. To them, it's just
Right.
like, we don't really talk about it. That's
Yeah.
behind us. Like that was then. This is now. You know, I don't think
Yeah.
they're not the kind to sit and dwell on these
Yeah.
things. We're
Yeah,
victims. Like we're weak. We don't move on.
I don't know if that's what it is.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
know.
bro.
Because I think it's good to talk about these things. Like it's good to
You know who doesn't think it's good to
pass this
talk
stuff
about
down.
it? Our grandparents.
Yeah.
They
I
moved
know, but I'm
on
just wondering why though. Like why?
because it doesn't,
Because
bro.
it's not normal.
It doesn't.
Like that's not normal.
It doesn't, in my opinion. Okay, listen. There's a time and place to talk about things. Okay, when it's history, when it's things that have happened and can't be undone, and you've lived it, you went through it, you've survived it, you're on the other side. You have a family. You need to provide. You need to push forward. You need to. What's
Well, I'm not
sitting,
saying
dwelling, and talking about it going to help with?
no. Well, I mean, you can learn things from it, and it shares. It shares like, I mean, look. Okay, here's a question. I wonder how the things that you knew about, like that you found out over the last like 3 to 15 years, how that would have shaped, your childhood, how you are now. Like, I don't know if like getting like put in a sack, in a potato sack.
I think
and
the
drugged,
only thing that would have done,
like how that would have affected
the only
you.
thing
Like,
that would
probably
have
messed
done
you up.
would have made me think, the only thing it would have done would make me think less of my family's intelligence at that point in time.
Well, yeah, so maybe that's why God didn't let you like hear that yet until that point. You never know.
I'm like,
But, I don't know.
I'm not listening to anything you have to say. You want to put us in sacks.
Right. I mean, you guys bring that up every single time.
That's gonna be my rebuttal from now on when my parents tell me like you
Oh,
should do
man.
this. I'm like, you should have not put us in sacks.
Next time you see a potato sacking with your parents, like somebody like, is that the kind of
Yeah,
sack that
yeah.
just gives
And
you
now I
your
live in
life?
Idaho,
Look like
known for
that?
potatoes.
Oh, did they like? They probably like less smirked at each other when they're
That's so funny.
like, "Mom, Dad, we're gonna move to Idaho." You're like, oh man.
Okay, hey,
Good stuff,
okay,
man.
hey, hold on. So listen, I didn't know about any of this. All I knew,
Mhm.
because I've been and visited my grandpa before he died several times in Romania. Since
Okay.
I was like 15, I went and visited him a few times.
Right.
And all I've ever known about his life or story was he used to be married. Then he got remarried. Then he got divorced and remarried. So he's on his
No
third.
way.
And my dad is the son of his second marriage. Okay.
Ah,
That's the only thing I
interesting.
knew. And I knew that, and he would always show me that he had a freaking bullet wound shot in the shoulder, like shot in the shoulder in the pec. And he had like a huge scar on the back where it got blown out. And I knew he got shot during World War II. That's all I knew, you know?
And you know the story?
I didn't know anything. I
Like
didn't know
how?
any of the story. I just thought it was during war. Like, come on, like it's World War II, you know?
But do you know now?
I do know now because it's on YouTube.
Ah,
And I
Oh,
didn't
that
and I
story's on
didn't
YouTube.
know
Okay.
about this until like 3 years ago.
Wow.
So, like I was saying, my grandpa and his first wife and 2 kids, not my
Okay.
dad,
Right.
his 2 kids from his first wife are on
Mhm.
the captured side of Romania by the Russians, by the commies during World War II.
Wow.
Okay. And at one point, I don't know why, the Russians told this part of town, told the village or whatever, the city, whatever was captured, hey, if you guys want to go back to Romania, to the Romanian side, we'll let you go. On this day, go and cross over there in that forest, go and cross over and we'll let you go to the Romanian side. So my grandpa says, hey, wife and kids, you guys stay here. I'm going to go to Romania, get things set up, and then I'm going to come get you. Okay. So my grandpa, and I think it's like 30,000 people. I could be wrong. Okay. Don't trust my memory.
Yeah.
They all go on that day, at that time. They head out into the forest to go back to freaking Romania. The Russians are waiting there to ambush them, and they freaking mow everybody down. Okay.
Why would they do that?
Because they're commies, and that's what commies do. Okay. My grandpa, he did military service. Okay. So he was trained. He said
Right.
the first time, the second he heard a bang, a gunshot, he dropped. And dude, I think these guys had like straight up like Gatling guns, like machine guns, like it wasn't just bolt action. Okay, to mow down 30,000 people or whatever it was, thousands of people. Okay, so the first shot he heard, he said he dropped to his stomach, and when he dropped, the majority of people that didn't do training, they're like panicked, they freeze, they're looking, all of them, everybody's dropping, everybody's dying. Okay, as he's on, I think as he's on the ground or as he went down, he took one it's like in the collarbone, and like took out his trap and shot out the back. It wasn't through the front, you know. I don't think it was through the front. So he takes one in the freaking trap. Everybody else gets massacred. And I think there's like a forest there, because at one point he takes off into the woods running away. Soldiers come after him. Okay. And there was like a multi-day manhunt for any survivors of this thing. And he hid, I think at one point he hid like up in a tree. Okay. No way. And I think he slept up there. Dude, this is shot. This is a freaking shot. He slept up in a tree for like 2 or 3 days. And then at another point he came, and guards were like coming and going there, just like in a movie. Okay. And when he said he thought it was safe, he came down and started making his way back home through the woods. And then he heard guards again with dogs barking out in the distance. So he hid inside. Dude, this is so crazy. He hid inside of a fallen log, like a log that fell over that was kind of hollowed out. He made his way inside and like hid. Okay. And was like buried inside this freaking log. And he said that there's like a hole where he could like see outside. Dude, like a movie, straight up like a freaking movie. I'm hearing this like 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I'm hearing this and I'm just like, holy crap, you know, this is freaking insane. So he's hidden inside of this log. Guards come with dogs, right? And the dog, and my grandpa was a Christian. Okay. He said he was praying, asking God, like, don't let him find me. Don't let him find me. He said like the dogs come up to the log, sniffing around, right? And he said the freaking dog came like eye to eye with him through this log, right? Just puts his like eye up, you know, to the freaking log, and like looks at him as my grandpa's praying, looks at him and just keeps going and scurries off with the freaking guards. I don't know. I forget how long he stayed in there, you know, until he felt it was safe again. And then comes out, makes his way back to the house, back to where his wife and freaking kids are. Everybody in the town knew that that everybody got massacred. So they thought he was dead, you know? And I think what happened next was they hid my grandpa. They like patched him up and they hid him under the floorboards in their house, because soldiers were coming back through the house now. Okay. Through the houses to like check if people came home, right? Logical that you're going to freaking go home. Where are you going to go? And they didn't have crawl spaces. Their boards were just like elevated like 6 inches off the ground, right? So they don't rot out. And that's where they put them. They stuck them under the floorboards for days. So he's hiding out there, and for some reason, I think he was thinking that the guards are never going to let up. Like they're always going to be searching. Okay. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go back and try to make it back to the Romania side so that at least like I'm safe. And then I'm going to come get you guys again. So like still jacked. He freaking goes back through the woods. Okay. I forget how long the journey was. In the meantime, the freaking Russians round up everybody, all the Romanians from that area that were left. Okay. Bro, they put them on trains to Siberia, to the work camps, to the freaking slave camps in Siberia. So they round up his wife and his freaking 2 little kids, one of which was a baby, like a straight up baby. Okay. And takes them to Siberia. Baby dies like instantly. All right. You're not going to survive Siberia work camps very long. And that's where his wife and his daughter were. I think they were there, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were there, dude, for like 17 years or something like that. They freaking survived the Siberian work camps because his wife was like pretty cunning. She was kind of smart, and she would trade scraps of food with people for soap. And so she and the dude, her daughter survived too, her little daughter. Okay. They would get the soap and they would clean. They would be really clean. They never had fleas. They never had ticks. They never had rashes because everybody else was dying from like infections and from bacteria and from being sick. But they would stay really hygienic and clean. And because the soldiers saw that she's kind of smarter, they started putting her in charge of stuff in the camps, you know? And so she was able to work it and freaking stay alive. Dude, my dad, I forget when, my dad somehow got in touch with his freaking stepsister like a decade or two ago. And like, I think went and met her in like Moldova or in Russia. She lived in Russia at that time, but I think they might have met in Moldova. I don't remember.
Imagine those stories.
So he has a stepsister, which I didn't know about. I never freaking knew that. Okay, so my grandpa's in the forest going back to Romania. Okay, or trying to get back over to Romania.
Yeah.
And I forget how long he's in the forest, long time, no food, no water, jacked from this bullet wound still. And he said after a certain point, he was just like, oh, I'm going to die. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And he ends up seeing some like guard tower. And he doesn't know if it's Russians, if it's Romanian. He doesn't know anything. All he knows is that like, dude, these guys are either going to kill me or they're going to save me. It doesn't matter. I'm dying anyway. Right? Yeah. So he goes and he makes his way towards the guard tower. The guards like see him. They come down with their guns and they start yelling at him in Romanian. And they tell him like, get down, get down. So he gets down and they ask him like, oh, old man, where are you coming from? You know, they call him an old man. And dude, I think he was like 25, 26, something like that. But he was so disheveled and so like famished and beat up that he looked like he was freaking elderly, you know? So this guy tells him he's from the Sat or the little town, survived the freaking massacre. They take him in, they feed him, they help him out. He goes and gets set up, situated in Romania, finds out that they took everybody from his town, wife and kid included, to the Siberian work camps. Figures they're dead, right? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What do you freaking think is going to happen?
No,
right?
Course,
Figures they're dead, ends up getting remarried, has my dad with his new wife and my aunt. So they had another 2 kids. I don't remember why, but they ended up getting divorced. And then he remarried again. But that's why my grandpa was being interviewed by this news station in Romania, was because he was one of the survivors of that freaking massacre, right? Whatever the massacre is called, blah, 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 forest massacre. Sure. They were interviewing one of the survivors, just like you would interview one of like the Nazi concentration camp survivors today. And he's just like this old man that lived it. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And I had no idea this was like the story. And I had no idea there was like a video about it until 3 years ago. And my dad's like, oh, your grandpa, he's on the YouTube. And it's like an amazing.
It was destined for you to be on YouTube then. You're just following.
Bro, I'm just following in his footsteps. You're right. I am following in his footsteps in more way than one. Dude, wild, man.
Very cool, man. Thanks for sharing those. Those are so cool, man. I love these stories. But seriously, if you could find that picture, that would be,
I have to. That'd be great. I wasn't planning on talking about this for 40 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I know we haven't, but this is the best. This is so good.
I hope this like lights a fire under my parents' butt to like write this stuff down for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. You listen to your son.
Listen to the son.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, because I really like, I want it, you know, I want it written down. And dude, just because we grew up with it, with like Hollywood always and narratives and stories, I'm like, dude, this freaking sounds like a straight up movie. But hey, also think about this, Dennis. If you want to talk about like God's freaking sovereignty and goodness, Dennis, if the freaking tree that my grandpa hid in didn't fall from a bird's poop and grow over 80 years and die and rot over the next 50 years. If that tree wasn't there, my grandpa would be dead. And my dad would not exist, and I would not exist.
Yeah.
Dennis the Menace
True.
wouldn't exist. You know,
That multiverse was would have been
yeah, makes sense now, huh?
a lot more boring.
Yeah, man.
That's for sure.
But I mean, just the absolute minuscule details that have to pan out exactly the way they did for
It's
this
true,
reality
man.
to be what it is, like the butterfly effect. You know,
Right.
this is why.
And
Go ahead.
God is involved in all of that.
100%, 100%, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I wouldn't be here if my grandpa was successful and there was no forest massacre. If he didn't make it to Romania and got kicked into the Serbia, into the Siberian work camp, like none of this would be here or possible if any little minuscule detail would be different. You know what I'm saying? It's fascinating.
That makes me. It is fascinating. It makes me think a lot about, like, so he's involved in all these details. Like, then when we go through something, like it's really wise to just stop and think before like we act sometimes, right? Or let's say something happens to us or to a friend of ours or a family member, like just stop and think like that God is good. He, these things are meant for good, even though they might not look good. Like, I mean, it's hard because you could look back at your grandfather. He went through so much, right? Through a lot, man. I mean, just think about the risk that was involved, but then what he actually had to go through and endure, and then how those things were passed on to your father, right?
Oh, for sure.
And then those, the way your father was raised and what he saw and all that. No wonder why he was able to take more risk. To leave Romania.
Oh, dude, they didn't want to,
because he's right. But he was hearing though. But still, there's a capacity level, right? That he had the capacity to do it. There's other people that wanted to, and they just didn't have the capacity. Right?
Listen, the one thing that pushed my parents over the edge, my dad didn't want to. Excuse me, San Pellegrino for the finest bubbly.
It works.
Yeah, it works. My dad didn't want to, bro. If it wasn't for the repeated dreams that they had, he would not have come. You know what I'm saying?
Which is really, so when you first said that, I was thinking to myself, when you first said that they had dreams, I was thinking, I wonder if those dreams were because they were dreaming of, freedom in America, right? You know how people like, oh, I want to be in America. I want to be in America. I want to be in America. But their story is so different. They didn't really need to go. They didn't want to go. They had a good life.
Oh, dude.
Right?
They had a good life, but my mom was, okay, you couldn't necessarily be Christian in Romania. Okay. During communism, it was pretty frowned upon. My mom was on a list to be arrested by the freaking commies. I forget why. Something at her work, something where she was working was up. Wow. And I believe her boss told her, hey, I heard that they want to come get you. And so there was a reason for them to leave. Okay. But repeatedly, we're not talking about like, oh, hey, what'd you dream about? I dreamed we had a really nice life in Romania. No, it was like supernatural. Hey, get up and leave. And this was repeated over like a couple nights where both of them were having these dreams, specifically telling them to leave right now, So, you know what the result was for my grandpa, like going through what he went through and coming out on the other side? And like I said, his experience where he's like praying in the log and stuff like that. My grandpa was like super devout Christian. His relationship with God was like this. Like in his village where he ended up living for the rest of his life, my grandpa was like the guy you went to read the Bible, pray with you. Like that was my grandpa as a result of the things he went through and the things like God got him through.
Again, you're walking through his like in his footsteps.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You know what the result?
I come to you.
You know what the result was for my parents? Like, having gone through what they went through and like God leading them through that and getting them through that and all of that, their relationship with God was like this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think when it's that like clear and that blatant, where God like straight up talks to you and like miraculously does things for you, how could you come out on the other side and be like, I don't know, it could have just been chance and coincidence that we just both dreamed the same things while we were subconsciously dreaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
No. Yeah, you have a different look at,
and look,
at
dude,
life, at God.
Look at you, where you're at now, as a result of what? A supernatural encounter and experience. You know what I'm saying? I just heard another buddy of mine that I was hearing this through another friend, so secondhand, but he also like walked away from the faith, issues with his parents dying, bunch of pain and stuff, walked away for a few years, went off the deep end hardcore, and ended up having like vision from God, encountering God, very, very similar to what you described. I think he was also suicidal. Okay. Describing situation and vision exactly like yours. Very, very, very similar. So to me now, I'm like, I wonder if God's people are like, who are in those states, who get to a depressed state like that, where you're willing to like call it and just end yourself.
Sure.
I wonder if God's like, nah, not time. And hey, I'm going to pop in the picture real quick to show you what's really going on. Yeah. And you shouldn't do this.
Yeah. I mean, and in fact, I think he lets us go to that point.
Oh, I totally believe that.
You know,
and guess what? You know where he's at on the back end? Same as you, like super on fire, super devoted.
Oh, that dude?
Yeah.
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 I love hearing this.
It's kind of like, I'm kind of seeing that pattern though, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny actually. It's that you said this, because how you bring this up, my daughter, she, you know, she knows some of the stuff, but not like the details of, you know, how bad things got for me.
Right.
But she knew like I wasn't in a great place, and she knew I was struggling. And she told me this. She says, she was like freaking out one night. She was like, Dad, I just don't want to have to go through something that you went through just so I can see God.
Wow.
Like that's what she said to me. I was like, man, she's thinking about this, right? And I'm like, no. Like, you know, I think the reason why God lets some people go through some of these things, like, so others can learn through that, right? Like, that's why I'm sure your buddy or your friend's friend, like when you say on fire, like that's really saying that, like, you're talking to people about, you know, the experience, you're talking about the change that God did in your life. Like, I can't, you know, if I care for someone, like how I do through church and stuff in my serving, when someone's like, oh, you know, thank you so much. When they say thank you, I don't like, that means nothing to me. To me, it's like, man, the honor there's so much honor in what I'm doing. Cause it's like, I just want to do this because what God did for me. Like, there's no like, oh, I got to call this guy or this person, right? I have to talk to this person again. Like, that never happens. It's hard sometimes to hear, you know, a lot of the negative over and over. And it's hard to see people hit their head on walls over and over again. It reminded me a lot of what I did, but it also, it's hard to hear, you know, and then, you know, I have one person in my life, for example, who I've been helping, and I don't know, I think I've been walking with this person for like 3 months, good 3 months, maybe 4 months now. And they're going through a really, really rough time right now. Like, God was doing so much in their life. And then now they're just in this point where they got really cold again. And it's hard to see that, you know, and go back to, it makes you think like, man, the importance of discipline in your life when it comes to your relationship. And I used to hate that word when it came to anything that had to do with Christianity or relationship with Jesus. The word discipline never made sense to me. If I didn't feel like doing it, I'm not doing it. Right. If I have to force myself to do it, and which translates to being disciplined into doing something, that means it's in vain anyway, because I'm not doing it with all my heart. Right. That's not right. I've learned it's not the encounter that I had. That's not what sustains me. It's And I even hate saying mine because I suck at this, and it's not like even my strength. It's in his strength that he like wakes me up in the morning so that I can read, so that I can pray.
Right.
He's the one that reminds me, gives me that desire even to pray during the day, to spend some extra time with someone on the phone while they're talking about something hard, or all those things. And it all comes from him. It's not like, oh, because I do this, that's why I'm close to God. No. It's because he like allows me to do this and he gives me the strength to do it. That's what keeps me close to God. So it's ultimately still him that's doing it. There's nothing that I'm doing really. Right. The only thing I do is I say thank you, and I'm humbled by it. But I see where he brought me from, and I'm learning so much, Ben. Like I was taking my dog for a walk right before we got on to record, and this morning I see this. I sent you this video, I think this morning, you and Cam, that video, that Paul Washer video, really quick. That was like a snippet. I think I sent it to you. It was like 30 seconds long or something. And then I sent it to a couple buddies, and this other guy responds, Ephesians 2:22. And so I immediately read it, and it's exactly what that video is about. And I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, like how it came to mind. So the whole day I'm contemplating Ephesians 2:22 the whole day, right? And I'm thinking about it, I'm praying about it, and it's how God builds us up to make us holy, okay? Because he lives in us. And when he lives in us, he can't live with the gut, the dirt and the he makes us holy, but it's a process, right? And it's beautiful. And today I'm walking my dog before we get on to record, and I go like maybe 4 blocks away from where I live, and I walk, and this guy pops out of his house like, "Hey, Dennis," and I'm like, "Hey," and it's my buddy Kyle from church. And I'm like, "Hey, Kyle," I didn't even know he lived there. I knew he lived around there, but he pops out. We start talking within 2 minutes in the conversation. I kid you not. He asked me something. He's like, "So what's on your heart today?" or something. And I'm like, Ephesians 2:22. That's what I've been praying on all day. He looks at me, he goes, and his eyes just get like all big. And he's like, "What did you just say?" I said, Ephesians 2:22. And he goes, "Hold on." And he goes and he gets his phone that was like by his truck somewhere, because we're like in his driveway. He brings his phone out and he shows me his phone. It's Ephesians 2:22. I promise you that he's like, and he's freaking out, right? And I start laughing because I've gotten to this point in my life in this last year where I realized that's how God speaks.
Totally.
And that's why when people ask me, do you hear God? I'm like, yeah, every day you hear God. It's looking for him. It's trying to find him in your every day, in the weird stuff, in the non-random things, the no coincidence thing, right? And I'm like, how amazing. I'm like, so how did this happen to you? Like, why are you reading this? He goes, last night I have a dream.
Wow.
And in this dream, I'm reading, I hear Ephesians 2:22.
Wow.
And so he is sitting there all day, like reading Ephesians 2:22. What are the chances that all day for me, I'm thinking about Ephesians 2:22, and then we meet at like 6 o'clock in the evening while I'm walking my dog, and I didn't even know where his house was. Not like I was going there or anything. I just walked right by. He's like, "Dennis." I'm like, "Oh, hey, you live here? Cool." 2 minutes in the conversation, we're talking about Ephesians 2:22. He's like,
some people would try to chalk that up as like coincidence or like serendipity, But the fact that he was reading it as a result of a dream,
come on,
that has nothing to do with like the natural order of things.
No way, dude. This happens so often to me, Ben. In certain ways, it's just insane. But and then he goes, and I asked him like, so, and I'm laughing. He goes, "Why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Because this is how God speaks." And I said, "So what does it mean to you?"
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like, "Man, I don't know. I've been thinking about it all day." And I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, and he goes, "What does it mean to you?" So I told him about like just holiness and how God's making us holy. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what it is. Because God's doing that in my life." And he's just like totally talking about it. I'm like, man, it's so cool. We got to fellowship really quickly about something God's doing in 2 different ways awesome. In our, really cool.
Dude, that's stories, really man. Awesome. I love that. Okay, mine aren't, how can I say it? Sometimes mine have to do with spiritual things, where it's like edifying and that, like these moments, these kinds where you like see God in these moments, right? But sometimes for me, it's just funny things that happen where like nobody else is around. Okay. Nobody else saw them. The thing that happened was just for me. And it's like, I call it my inside jokes, like with God. Okay. And like, I swear he and I have inside jokes and things happen in this world,
bro,
that are just between me and him where I'm like, you see that? You know what I'm saying? Like
I do the same thing. I look up,
dude,
and I do
it's so funny. And dude, okay, I'll give you a really funny one.
This is awesome.
Sebi was staying with me for a few weeks. You know, just he went home a few weeks ago as well. But I forgot what we were talking about. We went out to the hot springs. We took the RV. We had like a blast. We're talking about a bunch of stuff, and I told him about this. Like, I have an inside joke thing with God. Okay, and then maybe a couple nights later, we're bored. We're in the basement. We're watching some TV, and I put on. I'm looking through like movies to watch, and this movie pops up. It's like it's the latest Saw movie. Okay.
Okay.
And the thumbnail for the movie is like this chick that's like screaming. And she's got these like, they look like pillars coming out of her eyes, like crossing. They look like lightsaber goggles.
I think I actually know.
You know what I'm saying? It looks like lightsaber goggles. And I'm like, I took it to Sebi and I'm like, dude, how stupid. Look at this freaking 80th Saw movie. Now this chick has lightsabers for eyes, you know? And he's like, yeah, that's dumb. We're not watching that. So we end up landing on Rick and Morty. Okay. I don't know if you've watched Rick and Morty, but it's just something stupid to watch and laugh at, you know? Yeah. And bro, the episode we put on, you know, it's like multiverse, this and that random crap happens, right? Yeah. At one point, a lightsaber comes into the freaking multiverse. And the episode, there's a character that has lightsaber for eyes.
Oh my!
And the guy in the show is like, "Oh my God, he's got lightsaber for eyes." And I look at Sebi and I'm like, "Bro, I told you, this kind of crap happens, bro. And this is our sense of humor, okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, when is the last time you've ever heard the phrase lightsaber for eyes? Okay. And he's like, never. He's like, I get it. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course. Dude, okay, man, I'm so glad we're talking about this because this. Okay, I thought people would think I'm crazy because
I couldn't care less.
For over a year now, this has been happening. Yeah. But I also have to say this though. When you're looking, like when you're talking to him, when you're really talking to him, like, and you're learning and you're reading a lot and your mind's just on God. Yeah. Like you're just thinking about godly things. Like, I'm not saying, like you're walking around like a priest or something. I'm just talking about like just everyday things. Like, something happens. Like I could be on a phone call and it could be like, it could go really south. And I'm like, God, man, that was terrible, God. Like what just happened, and I'll talk to him afterwards. I'm like, whew, like that was rough, God. Yeah. Like I got to learn from that, or something. Like I'm constantly talking to him. Right.
Right.
And then, so things will happen throughout the day and then you become more aware of these things, right? Like the lightsaber things, like he does have humor. He's relational. Right. And I mean, when you read the Bible, like you start to see more of it also in the Bible. You start to see it. Like I look at the Bible now so differently. Now there's other stuff that, of course, like, I'm not saying he applies humor to every part of the Bible. No, but within the Bible, like you see humor, like you can see certain things. But just in your everyday life and hearing these stories, like from you, other people would just write them off. Like they don't even think about it. Like, can this even be God? Is this a way that God interacts with us? Dude, why not? Okay, he's living in us, right? Like he's in us, he's teaching us. Is it all just scripture stuff, or is it like, just it be like existing and humor and love and life and smiling and joy and lessons in different ways, right?
Yeah, more like I almost see it like a friendship, you know what I mean? Like throughout the day. And I don't mean like, oh, Jesus is a homie and that's all he is.
Yeah.
And there's no fear, there's no reverence, and there's no discipline. Like, again, I struggle in the discipline department.
Yeah.
I struggle in the reverence department. But I definitely I definitely see the friendship aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's personality, that my personality that's kind of coming through in the way I'm interpreting his character, you know?
No, I think what I think it is, I think it's the more you understand his character, the more time you spend with him, the more you get to learn about his character.
Well, he has to be multifaceted.
Right.
He can't just like
Yeah, I
be
mean,
the same
we are in
thing
his
to, he
likeness,
can't be the
right?
same thing to everybody.
Correct. But correct. But I think everybody can get to that same place. So like with you in your humor that you have with him, like this sense of humor, these weird things that happen, and it's just like your relation. There's a connection there
Right.
between you and God in that humor. Right. And I believe that someone else like who doesn't have that could get to that point in their own way if they spend more time with God. See, this is where I get to when I talk to people these days. It's like, and I know for me, it's been a year. I had 5 months of like of intense like one-on-one time with God. I wasn't working, didn't have much to do. All I did was like hang out with God, and that was amazing for me. And then I started working, things changed, things slowed down a little bit, but being away from my family, away from my daughter right now, right? Like I'm pretty much alone. Like I get a lot of time with Jesus.
Right.
Like it's just inevitable. And I have a choice. I could go and watch, binge watch TV. I could, I don't know. I don't go to bars, or I don't watch sports anymore. I don't everything's changed. So like, I don't know what else I would do, but for me, it's just like, I'll go on walks and I'm listening to books and I'm praying, and I do a lot of walks with my dog, and I'm spending a lot of time on Sundays when I fast now. Like I spend a lot of time with Jesus and like hours I'm reading and I'm praying through what I'm reading. I'll do that like at my table. I'll sit there for hours sometimes. And it's wonderful. Like it's amazing that I get to have this time, although I am lonely and I would like a physical human being in front of me. It'd be nice at times, but it's really amazing what this time that I have and what he's teaching me. I'm learning a lot, Ben, about myself and about our relationship. But the more you get to his character, like the more you learn about his character through reading the Bible and prayer, the more like you get these things that happen in your life where you're like, oh, that's God. That's God. And you see it more. I think it is happening in a lot of people's lives. They're just not seeing it. And they're not sensitive towards it. It's a relationship, man. Just like anywhere, if you didn't hang out with your wife, you wouldn't know anything about her, right? You wouldn't know what she laughs at, what she smirks at, what she kind of giggles at, what she doesn't like. Like how long have you been married now?
12 years.
It's like, like when she's upset, like you could just like walk in the room and you can sense like, oh, she's not too happy right now, or when she's right. So like just having that relationship level with God, like, oh man, I shouldn't be here right now. Like,
totally.
This is gonna,
you know what? God, okay. I'll give you like a small example of that for us. In the evenings, we like to retire to the basement, and that's kind of like our hang area. We've got our sofas down there. We have a TV down there. Rebecca, unfortunately,
I've never seen your basement.
I'll FaceTime you sometime. Rebecca unfortunately like works in the evenings too. So she'll be on her computer, like writing reports, but we'll put something on, I'll work on editing or whatever, while the TV's going. And one of our guilty pleasures is watching like dating shows on Netflix. Okay. I don't know why. I used to think, okay, man. I'll tell you from my perspective. I think it's really, really interesting to watch humans like interact and to like break down the social interactions. Okay.
Right.
That's what I enjoy doing, and tracing like why things are happening the way they are as a result of like what they did, the decisions I don't know. I like seeing that stuff. Okay.
Sure.
Sebi swears I'm on the spectrum. I don't know. Okay. But Sebi's I know. He's not one to talk.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's why I like watching them. Rebecca likes watching them because like the drama, the glitz, the whatever.
Right.
But some of those shows, most of them are pretty just like gnarly. You know what I mean? And we put one on the other night. Some of them are great though. Like, I don't know if you've seen Love on the Spectrum. Speaking of Spectrum.
No, there's one like that.
Oh, dude.
I've only watched one. And it was, I think, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind is also good. I enjoy that.
Oh, that is good. Oh, and then the singing one. There was a music one where they sang, they like wrote songs together.
I would never watch that. But obviously,
I know
obviously you did.
But it was
and you
really
would.
good. Yeah, it was really
okay.
good.
I would never.
When I was doing My Song Wins, I actually reached out to a couple of them, and they would write
Really?
me back. Yeah,
Dang.
they were like, "Oh, we love what you do" and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Yeah,
Damn
it was really
dude,
cool.
you should have slipped in there and been like, "I'd love to write a duet with you, girl." You know.
There was one. She was so hot. Oh my goodness.
Let me see if this works. Hold on.
I hope.
Love to write a duet with you, baby.
Yeah, if I talk like that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So Love is Blind.
What was the other one?
Love is Blind is cool because, again, just from like a social interaction perspective, seeing people like how they are without seeing each other, and then when they do see each other, that fascinates me, right? Hey,
because I wonder what I would do.
You know what you would do? Do you remember when you would have text and IM relationships?
Oh yeah,
that's what those are. That's exactly what those are.
That's a great point.
Okay,
dude.
and then you would meet the person.
That's a great.
You would
point.
meet in person,
and you're like,
and it's you already know. You would even know what they look like because you could text photos. You would see their profile pic.
True, but it's different.
But then when you get together in person, it's not
different.
the same, right?
Yeah.
That's what Love is Blind is. Man. That's the dynamic. So if you ever saw that show or will see that show and you're like, how the heck why don't they just get along? That's why. Because we know what that's like, having IM and text relationships from the past. Okay. Anywho. And Love on the Spectrum is really, really, really cool, Dennis. If you haven't seen that one, it's about people who are like autistic, who want to be like in love and have relationships and stuff. And to watch people with those, I don't know, disabilities, whatever you want to call it, that are expressing love, but in the way they do. So
both are on the spectrum, like both sides. Okay.
And to see how they express love as opposed to somebody who's not on the spectrum. You know what I mean?
That is
fascinating. So anyway, sorry, tangent. Back to the story.
Okay. I was going to change gears.
No, just real quick. Let me finish it and then change it. Put it in sixth gear, baby. Right. Take it home.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so we put on a new one. It was season 2 of one we watched before. This one, like, it starts. It's like, oh, Jennifer's back and Scotty's naughty. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it starts up and it's raunchy. And it's like, we're 5 minutes in. And I'm like, I just pause it. And I'm like, and again, this is season 2, right? It's a continuation of one we've been watching before. I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. She's like, yeah, I don't really care for this right now. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think we should see this stuff anymore, you know? And we just like switched. We just changed it. And like, I'm never going to watch that again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just like a small example to me of what we were talking about before. Even though it's dumb, but I don't need to like expose myself to that crap. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No. Yeah, for sure.
I just don't.
No, dude, listen, man, it's, you know what it is? That's what Ephesians 2:22 is talking about. It's about becoming holy, like he is holy.
Yeah.
So it's because he's building, he says he's building us so that he can indwell in us. And that's what verse 22 says now. And it's, so what I've noticed, you know, and now there's two approaches to this. You can take, and this is where I think like I'll speak for my own experience as far as my parents and the church I went to. The way they would tell us no, they would say no about it for a lot of things, right? Like movies, no, you know, the high school dance, no, you know, like the bunch of no's, right? Can't do that. There was no explanation. There was just, it was just no.
Right.
If you ask again, you know, you're getting your ass kicked. And it's like, there's this, but, and I thought they were crazy, right? I'm like, oh, you guys are just, you know, you guys. And then as I got even older in my 20s and my 30s, even I would say, oh yeah, but you guys don't know. God is not like that. Like he doesn't really care about that stuff, right? Like he's cool with this stuff. Right. He's cool with that. He's cool with this. And maybe he is, But now as I'm getting even older and and I don't know if it's only age though. I think it's really just because, just the time, because I do spend a lot of time with Jesus and I'm getting to know him more and more and more. And as I get to know him more and I get to see more of his character and to learn more, I start to realize like, I don't know if I want that stuff in my life anymore. Right. I'll give you a big one. A big one for me is poker. Okay. I used to play
That's a
shit
good
ton
example,
of poker.
yeah.
Okay.
Show us your tattoo.
I survived on
Closer,
poker, you
closer.
know, like I've got to get closer.
No, our lighting's terrible. Okay, just
really
explain
bad,
it to people. Got ruined.
It's just a ace of spades.
He's got an ace of spades.
And I played a ton of poker and it sustained me for a while, for a long time, actually. I would say the last like 3 years before, Jesus changed everything. I mean, that's all I did was play poker. And I played underground games, some really gnarly stuff, man. I was a cash player, and it's a crazy life to live like that. And you meet a lot of people, right? And you're always sizing up people constantly. You're always looking for patterns. You're always looking for tells and ticks and constantly. And you're playing, 8, 9, 10 hours at a time minimum. Minimum. Oh yeah, minimum. Like you go in and you're going in with some money, and your risk levels are really high, especially if you start playing like the 5-5, the 5-10 games. They get pretty juicy. So I played a lot of poker, and now I don't have anything against poker.
Right.
I enjoy still even like watching some memes that come through, or like some videos. I'll share them. And I'm still intrigued by the game. I think there's a lot of strategy, a lot of skill in this game. It's a great game. I don't judge people who play it like at all. I have nothing against it, but I haven't played a hand of poker since October 5th of 22.
Wow.
And I have one of the best poker places near me. All right. Like in all of Florida for sure. Better than the casinos. And it's like literally 15 minutes from where I live. And they have good sushi there too,
by a Japanese refugee,
Japanese Mexican. But it's like I don't have the desire to go. Right. Like, and now I'm working. I can I could probably go and have a little fun. If I wanted to at a small game. For a night. Sure. And it wouldn't like destroy me or hurt me. But I don't care to go. Like I have all the time in the world. I can make time. I wouldn't be sacrificing anything or anybody, and I just don't care to go. And I have no desire. It's so weird how that desire just went away.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Right?
It is, man. I can't explain it. I didn't pray for it. I didn't even think about it. I don't even think about it. I drive by there all the time, and I'm just like, I remember that and playing there. Like, but I don't I don't care.
I think that's an example of one of those like miraculous change, like instantaneous changes.
Yeah.
Like some people have those stories where they're like, oh, I just stopped drinking. I just stopped smoking.
Yeah. Or smoking.
I just stopped looking at porn. I just stopped. And some people are like,
I don't care for it.
I can't, I struggle, this and that. And it's like, I don't know why one person gets this and one person gets this, Yeah. But that's an example.
Was another one for me. Bitterness. And he took bitterness out of me, dude. Bro, he took it. I didn't.
That's crazy.
I didn't do anything, man. I mean, I had a lot of resentment towards a lot of people, man. I mean, you heard it from me every time you would talk to me. I'm like, these, and I couldn't make friends because of it. I didn't trust anybody because of it.
I really wish we started this podcast before your experience, so that people could have seen you before and after.
No, I wouldn't have lasted. You wouldn't have. after one like episode, you'd be like, "Yeah, no, dude, you really need Jesus." No, it was dark. It would have been interesting to see though, like if I could have been just completely raw and open about like where I was at that time. And
you wouldn't have.
No, because I was in a crazy court case too. I couldn't like just be myself in front of the camera.
Yeah, but you also just wouldn't have. I don't think.
And I wouldn't have. No, I wouldn't. Because I wouldn't trust anything or anybody. I already, what are people going to do with that?
Exactly.
And I couldn't be like completely open about like my life either. I didn't want to be, I didn't want people in my life. And it's interesting, but you're right though. There's this instantaneous lifting of, struggles or habits or whatnot. that God does sometimes, and sometimes it is a process. And there's other things that have been more of a process for me, for sure, in my life, whether it was sexually, or, look, loneliness is a tough one for me. Like that's a hard one for me. And I can have really good, like 4 or 5 days, 6 days, and then it'll get really hard sometimes, they're getting shorter, which is great. When the onset does come, it doesn't last as long. So I know like I am like God's really, really working in me. But I ask that to people now all the time, like, so what's God working in you? Like what, tell me like something, like give me a God win in your life, or what's he teaching you, man. Having those conversations with people, man, are just so edifying.
Sure.
And you don't care to think or talk about other stuff, like, yeah, aliens are cool, but but finding out what God's doing in your life is
dude, I'm gonna make a new sound for this. Hold on, I don't know if it's gonna play. Guess not. Never mind. Fail. Huge fail. Okay.
I'm gonna scratch that.
I know. Hey, bro, put it in sixth gear. Take it home. What were you gonna say earlier?
Oh shoot.
We were talking about the dating show, not watching. Okay, let me go back.
Yeah, do your thing.
Okay, hold on. We were talking about dating show. Love is Blind. Love is on the Spectrum. Dennis is gay. Then before that, we were talking about how. Wait, why am I doing this? You're the one that needs to remember.
I know. But there's no way I'm going to get to it. I have the worst memory.
Okay.
Yesterday I went somewhere and I showed up and someone's like, he asked me something and I'm like, I don't know. I have the worst memory. That's what I said to him. And he says this remark. It was so funny about having the worst memory. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to use that. If I can remember it. Guess what?
Forgot?
I don't remember it. That's how bad I am. Yeah, I don't know. If it maybe it'll come back to me if I do get back on track. I don't remember where the tangent was. Oh, I remember.
Dude, I told you works every time.
I remember.
Okay.
You were talking about the Spectrum dating show, and for some reason, I know people with Tourette's is not that's not a Spectrum thing. I know that, but I came across this Instagram account of this girl who has Tourette's, and she has these really gnarly tics, like really, really
like
gnarly.
Physical or like verbal?
Physical and verbal.
Oh, wow.
And you have to see this, Ben. It's pretty incredible. Her page is pretty awesome though, because at first I stopped because she was like super cute, and I was like, look at her, and I'm like, oh, she's so cute. And then like I heard her speak and stuff, and then like I hear her, like I see the tics start coming. I was like, whoa! And at first I'm just like, I thought at first she was making fun, like she was doing something, like, and I'm like, this is hilarious. But I'm like, oh, wait a second, she has Tourette's, and then like but I can't. It's like captivating to me. I can't stop watching it, and it's and she has a boyfriend, and like her boyfriend's like so like calm, and like you could just see his demeanor is so like sweet and nice, and patient, and then they're doing stuff like they're making like frosting cookies, and then like her Tourette's are going nuts, dude. And she says, I gotta admit though, like the stuff that comes out is hilarious though. Like it's funny, but then it's like, also it's like, whoa, dude, like how do you live like this? Right. So it got me to think, I was thinking about like the demonic aspect of it, right? Like I was thinking like, man,
not that like, everybody with Tourette's is demon possessed. No. That's not what we're saying.
No, I couldn't say that. I wouldn't know anything, but it's interesting to me how it triggers, because her tics are very, very vulgar.
Yeah.
And so two things that are interesting about this that you'd probably enjoy. So like her tics are very, very vulgar. And she says that only, so I guess out of 100% of people who have Tourette's, only 20% or so have really, really bad tics that are like vulgarish. Like the majority of people who have Tourette's are more tics, not the vulgarity. And hers is like extreme. So the way it comes out, the way it comes out is really funny, because you have this like sweet, beautiful looking girl who's like gets so vulgar, and you're like, it's interesting to watch. It really is. And then And it makes you feel really bad though too, like just, for her and what she's going through and the people in her life.
Yeah.
But then she said something really interesting. She said, when she eats THC gummies, no ticks whatsoever.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Very.
No ticks.
Only
so she
gummies?
can go out. THC gummies. For some reason, the THC in how it's condensed in gummies. So she didn't, on that video, I didn't hear her talk about smoking joints or pens or anything else. Just gummies. And
I mean, it is
but
possible.
THC gummies, not CBD.
Right. It is possible because THC getting absorbed through the stomach lining is different than through the lobules in the lungs, different effect entirely. It affects the bloodstream, the brain barrier, all that differently entirely. So I could see it. Dude, you know what? I don't freaking know. I don't know. But I had dinner a couple of weeks ago with a buddy of mine who's like a licensed psychiatrist or therapist or whatever he is. He prescribes meds. He's the whole shebang, right?
Yeah, psychiatrist.
And we're talking about medications. We're talking about giving people with it, like the mental issues, giving them medications and stuff. And I'm like, dude, how much of that could be fixed with exercise, diet, like blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, for sure. But some people like have chemical imbalances. Totally believe that. Yeah. Not saying anything about that. Okay.
Me too.
He told me they don't know why most medications work, like psych meds, ones that affect you mentally. He said they don't know why they work. They just know that they work. So it's just a matter of trying different things until one of them works for you. That's insane.
Interesting.
And terrifying. So not even the people creating the drugs know why brains respond the way they do. They just know that when they alter things through these chemicals, the body responds in a certain way.
Dude.
How crazy is that? And you would think that it's a science. You would think that it's like, if we do it like this, this happens. If we do it like this, this happens. And it's because of this and because of this. No, it's all guesswork. And they're just experimenting, That was like a huge shock to hear from this guy, bro.
Yeah, dude, I would just rather do weed. Like, come on, man. Seriously, dude. I know. I mean, we can.
I mean, depending for what it is, I don't know if they have any other. Do they have medications for Tourette's? Like,
I think she said, yeah, they do. But again, I mean, from what you just said, who knows?
I would not. If I was in her position, I would totally rather take gummies.
Every day.
I would rather take gummies than take who knows what concocted
synthetic
in some pharmacological thing.
For sure. Especially if it's working, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Anywho. What's up, bro? We're in for almost 2 hours.
You were full of stories tonight. You were full of stories tonight. You had some amazing stories tonight. Really, I really enjoyed this podcast.
Especially Inner Circle Biotech.
Yeah. I don't know if we were able to help anybody tonight in any way.
Wait, are we supposed to be helping people?
No, just like add to their lives and, in beneficial ways, beneficial.
That's good. I like what you did there. The only thing that I could see benefiting people is an unhackable starfish ID type biotech technology.
Okay, here's a question. How strong was the gummy you ate that you took before you?
Well, my Tourette's has subsided significantly. So
I got to send you that post. It's or that video of this
chick's account. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I'm
curious to see. I'm curious to see what posts you're going to send me that you second guessed if you ever could send me.
No, I told you up to this point, I haven't had any posts that I second guess with you yet.
Okay, that's good.
I have not one. There's other people in my life that I've gotten to that point with where I'm just like,
I base my friendships
probably not
with people on the memes I send them. So if you're censoring yourself in terms of what you're sending me, I don't think we're like 100% friends.
No, I agree 100%. I totally agree with that. What an interesting, I guess, what am I looking for? A report or case study or something to do on something like this, where like a psychological paper on, how you can tell levels of friendships or
For sure.
levels of trust by social media
Yeah.
content that you share with someone. So if somebody were to peer into my life and look at all
Yeah.
my posts for a whole year or whatever, and then see who I send them to and who I don't send them to, and all of my friends
Right.
group, and then write a paper on this to explain, like to even learn more about us, like that would be interesting. I would read that. I would be really interested in a
That would be
project like that.
fascinating, man. I mean, the world will never be the same, courtesy
Because
of
where's it
social
going?
media.
Like it's
Where's what
where's it
going?
going? I mean,
Technology?
social media. Like, well, yeah, that too.
Well,
But
so
like,
okay,
even just
social media is inevitably going to lead to us getting plugged in to a Matrix, a Neuralink, all of that. That's exactly what social media is doing. It's also the backbone of all AI, like all the information of humanity.
yeah, right.
Every single one of us has our personalities mapped out, our brain patterns mapped out, our interests mapped out, our social networks mapped out. All of that big data, all of it is getting fed and interpreted through AI,
It's being collected today.
Yeah.
And did you see that video with that the supercomputers and how they look like an upside down Tower of Babel? Like, did you see that?
No.
That lady. I
Did
think I
you
sent it to you.
not
I'm not sure.
send it to me?
I had to have sent it.
Did
I've had to. You must have missed it.
censor?
No, I would never have censored that. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
no,
need
no.
to figure that out because I should see
will.
that.
It's really interesting. That's what they talk about. They say that, and it'd be really nice if you could put it in this edit here. But they talk really briefly. They talk about how they believe, or this person believes that these supercomputers are like the Tower of Babels of our day. How we're trying to become like God, and it goes back to the tree that we talked about, right? The tree of knowledge, right, of good and evil, right? Understanding that see, the tree of knowledge was understanding that there is God's way and there's our way, right? And then by eating of that, they discovered that they wanted their way instead of God's way, right? And that's what we do every day, right? Every decision we make is either God's way or our way, right? Every decision that we make, that we live on every single day, it's our way or God's way, right? That comes down to even like food. Like, are you doing?
Shut
are
up,
you eating,
ramen.
like, yeah,
Freaking.
It comes down to that, though, right? But like, are we honoring our, God in how we eat, how we talk, how we, everything we do? And I'm not saying that we have to do this perfectly, because we can't. We'll never be able to get there. But it's just interesting how, like, even with AI, it's all knowledge, and like you said, mapping us out, mapping what we're looking at, how long we're looking at it for, what we're typing in, even with Chat GPT. Like, if you think about it, today I was messing with it, and you're asking it to do something, and then it brings you back something. You're like, oh, I don't like this. It's even collecting that data, like what you didn't like and what you're wanting to change.
Everything.
It's collecting all of that.
Do you realize that with this information,
cool.
It is cool, but with this basically almost omniscient information,
right?
All right, because that's what this becomes. It becomes a way to know everything always, and to know possibilities and outcomes, to be able to war game situations, right, based on the people
Minority
involved. Oh yeah, it's totally Minority Report. Did you know I believe in Michigan, they're now outfitting their Capitol grounds with a specific or a special like camera system that's connected to an AI that can predetermine who may be carrying a firearm on the property?
Jeez,
how do you think they're going to determine that? It's going to be facial scans that connect to what you do online and your profile,
search history,
your freaking profile, your purchase history, social media history, conversation, all of that information.
They have a profile on us.
100%, brother. 100%. So they already know this stuff. Like, you're not hiding anything. You know what I mean? But that's the beast system, baby.
Good stuff. Hey, have you watched that movie Shift? The Shift?
No, not yet.
Okay. Watch that movie and then we'll have to talk about it.
Ooh, sure.
I'm curious what you think.
Will do.
I thought it was good. But yeah, we'll talk about that. That was one of the topics I wanted to bring up. And then that near-death experience, I don't know if you watched that video, that old dude. That was I thought that was kind of cool. I don't like watching those too much. I don't care for them.
Well, there's a movie called Afterlife.
That I'm really interested in watching.
You haven't seen that?
No,
I haven't seen it either. Me and Rebecca want to go watch it.
Yeah, I don't like going to theater by myself, so I kept wanting for it to come out.
Or ask a buddy.
And then I did watch. And I have a lot of buddies. Most of them are like married and always busy with their kids or something. I totally understand. It's hard to make friends out here. It's hard to make friends as you get older.
Yeah.
But honestly, like it's not even that as much as the buddy thing's fine. I got you. I talk to. I got other guys. I talk to here once in a while. Well, not really that often, but
do you run into
that's my fault.
Do you run into single chicks at church?
Man, it's so hard. No, because I don't approach girls, unless there's like a situation where we can start talking like naturally. And usually when that does happen, they have a boyfriend or they're engaged or married, almost every single time. Well, every single time. But something happened to me it was interesting on this weekend. That's how I went to go watch this movie. It's because someone reached out to me and they're like, "Hey, would you like to go watch a movie?" I'm like, "Sure." But I only like consider them like friends. I didn't like have any, feelings towards this person. And, but I'm like, "Oh, she reached out to go, hang out a little bit." I'm like, it was raining. I'm like, "You want to watch a movie?" She's like, "Sure." So we went to watch The Shift. And then afterwards we went out to eat. And then I'm like, "Hey, you hungry?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, let's eat." And, and like, right when we sat down, she's like, "Hey, can I tell you something?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm really nervous and I don't do this. I never do this. I never do this. I promise." She's like, "But I've been thinking about you for like the last 2 weeks." I'm like, "Wait, what?" Yeah. She's really nice and really sweet and stuff. But I have like, I'm just not into her, She's really nice, really sweet. And she loves Jesus, she's a good person. But I totally hang out with her, but like, I'm just not into her like that. And, but it was just, it was flattering, but it was like, oh man, that's tough. That was hard.
Dennis over here having a beat them off. Well, hold on. Beat them back. Sorry. I really didn't mean to say anything like that.
It's for the
shoot, the Tourette's is coming back.
Take another
quick.
I have something to tell you offline about this guy and Cam. Interesting enough.
They know each other?
No.
Oh.
But it's just something that came up.
Interesting.
Well, I'll tell you about it offline. Or for our subscribers only.
Ooh, bro, we have to make a like a Patreon, somewhere where we put our uncensored, content. That,
I mean, if we go that route, man, it's gonna get wild.
What do you mean?
Because I hold back quite a bit.
You do?
Podcast. I hold back quite a bit.
We just talked about self-censorship and what that means to freedom,
but
to friendship,
right? Well, no. I send you memes and I'll talk to you offline, but to be on
That's true.
I mean, I'll do it.
Okay,
if that's listen, I'm not scared to do it. I just won't do it for free.
If I'm going to ruin my life, somebody has to pay me to do it. Okay. It's that simple. If my future is shot, somebody's got to pay me right now.
If I can never get a job again.
Exactly.
I better make some
money. I have to use my Starfish ID to log in, somebody's got to pay me.
If I have to pull out my glory pole one more time, that's my favorite part about the idea is the glory pole.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's because it was taken out and it's on our Patreon for our subs only.
Yes.
No, listen, I'm not talking about like we're profane and swearing and stuff, but maybe we talk about stuff like Starfish ID,
Yeah, or that are a little bit more taboo.
A little more taboo.
For the faint at heart.
Yeah.
Or our parents
or maybe it's just a bunch of stuff that was cut out because I cut stuff out once in a while.
True.
And nobody else would really be into it except for the people that are willing to pay us to listen to our stupidity. And those are our real friends, bro.
Those are real
If you
friends.
pay us to be friends, we're BFFs
or
for
they're
life.
or they're real enemies. They're trying to
Mortal enemies.
yeah. Well, at this point,
Yeah.
I don't got much to lose, so
Yeah, bro.
I'm good.
All right.
Ben, always good talking to you, brother. Thank you for hanging out. If you hung out with us this long, you're a real good friend, and we appreciate you very, very
true.
much.
Very true.
And remember to share, like, subscribe, comment, and join us next time when we talk about another idea that Ben is going to have for us that involves.
I have a couple other business ideas.
A couple?
But I'm not. I'll
Ben.
share them next time.
Yes.
One of them involves
All right.
chickens and techno music. So come back next time.
Peace out, everybody.
Oh, it's genius.
You must get oil and trim your lamps, 'cause you won't get a second chance.